Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, everyone. Hi, this is James Holmes Jr. from Black Lion Inc. And I don't know, the manna from heaven continues to come down. Today we have an awesome guest, Miss Gwen Witherspoon. Gwen is a branding expert from Atlanta, Georgia. Gwen, do you want to come on and introduce yourself?
I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. But listen, I call myself a serial entrepreneur because I feel like for the last 30 years I've just been trying to do something entrepreneurial. I can't help myself. But my 30-year vision has been to have my own agency, and it over time became a branding agency. And so now I run Adam Red out of Atlanta, and I have a 501c3 nonprofit called Vivid Academy.
That is absolutely awesome. Um, this is perfect for us at Black Lion because we actually assist a lot of young people with launching their businesses. We continue to work with them while they're developing them also. And we get involved with several aspects, excuse me, sorry about that. I'm not an expert on everything. Nor do I claim to be.
None of us are.
We actually just got used to just when we see an obstacle, clear it the best that we can. We're constantly tweaking.
Yeah.
But one of the things that would be great and is great for a lot of our young people is just to hear a professional like yourself talk about branding, the importance of branding, things like that, taking it further than the basic information that I've been giving them. First of all, tell us a little bit about your company, Adam Red, and how you see branding now, the significance of it, and where it's going.
Okay. Well, so we decided to focus Adam Red on personal branding, and and I'll go back to that in a little bit. But branding itself really is more than just the colors that you have in your company, and the slogan and all the things that we know as branding, right? It's more than that. Branding really is about the experience that you create for your customers, for your clients. It's about the relationship that you develop over time. I mean, if you think about the brands that you love, whether it's, I'm an Apple head. Like, I can't help myself. I'm a iOS snob. And because the Apple products have been a part of my life literally since my first advertising agency job. And so I now not only use it as a really great tool to build my business and to live, but I use their products. They're a part of who I am. And so really the best brands have accomplished that. They have made you feel like that you having that product is a part of who you are. And so they didn't do that by accident. They did that because every time that you had some engagement involvement with them, that experience was positive and pleasant for you and started helping you define yourself. So and like, I mean, a perfect example. So James, my first business, the first time I stepped in and started calling myself an entrepreneur was right at Drake University, where we went to school. So at my senior year, I got involved in my very first direct sales company. And that company was a competitor to Mary Kay, right? And after 30 years, like, I cannot I can't do have anything to do with Mary Kay. Not because they're bad products, not because but because they were two companies selling basically the same thing. It was just the way the company that I represented did it. The way they did it spoke to me personally. And now that company is out of business and Mary Kay is still around. And do you know, to this day, I just can't. I can't engage myself and involve myself with Mary Kay. Not because, again, it's not a bad company. It's just because of the relationship that I had to the other brand, how that brand made me feel, how I identify myself with that company and its products. And of course, they're great products, but that is the result of branding. And so nowadays we have all these social media channels, and so we hear so much about influencers. We see them and the work that they're doing inside of all these different networks, and we call what they're doing branding. Well, part of that is branding, like the way they, again, how they present themselves, how they dress, the colors they use, the music they use, the smells, the everything that they evoke, all of those things, that's part of branding. But the other part of branding, when you ask about where it's going, James, is it's really about automation and creating automating and communicating with your clients in a way that is really constant and consistent. And so you have to automate that customer journey so that you can create and build the brand and build the relationship the way that you want.
Wow. This this is like a whole nother level. This is a
Well, I
whole
was
nother
thinking
level.
about, when you invited me, I was getting ready for this. I thought, oh my God, like you talking about, I just feel like you are coming from, I feel like we're coming at business, how to start a business from the opposite ends, right? Like, when
So
I,
we need it all.
huh? Well, no,
We need it all.
we definitely need it all, and that's the thing that's so beautiful too about the way you're mentoring these people. Mentoring your clients in the foundation is, we need, not only do we need the information and the training, but we need the relationships, we need the mentoring, we need the coaching, because there are so many gaps and there's no way for one person to fill it all by themselves. So it's so important to have those relationships. But when I'm talking about starting a business, I guess over the years I've grown to a place where I feel like the best thing you can do is start from your personal brand, start from who you are. And who you are is never going to change. And who you are doesn't need financing. Who you are doesn't need, like, you don't need a building, you don't need nothing, because wherever you go,
Man, you are preaching now.
right? Wherever you go, you're going with yourself. And I heard somebody say today, your personal brand is your legacy, right?
Mm,
And
mm,
we talk
mm.
about your,
Oh my.
come on, when we talk about your integrity,
Oh,
your reputation, all of that, how you treat people, how you deal with people. But people now are making money by just being themselves. And that doesn't mean that everybody's got to be an influencer and everybody's got to be on social media. But what I want you to understand is the power of who you are. And James, I did a little research too, because I was watching them, some of the, I was trying to get caught up on Black Lion, and oh my God, you almost had me in tears when I was watching that. And I'm coming back. When you were talking about the legacy, the Black trauma, the legacy of trauma, and the trauma of slavery, and all of that, and I'm coming to a realization, probably more last year than any time in my life, coming to a realization and understanding of how that has even impacted me. And I'm one of the people that I didn't want to hear nothing about civil rights and uh, protests. And I mean, I just had swallowed the whole white supremacy notion hook, line, and sinker, because there was no way to do anything else. And just hearing you talk about just how we are all impacted by it, and how we're trained and indoctrinated that we're less than, and all these things. And I was looking at that and looking at myself and realizing that my attitude about myself, my my confidence and belief in my ability to change my circumstances, all those things were impacted by those issues. And so if you don't know that that's going on in you, you have no way to translate that, then you don't understand that the situation you find yourself in, that you're more powerful than you know, right? And what I finally have come to, like trying to getting all that information, all the things I've learned, all the things I've done, all the things I've tried to accomplish, and I realized that my ignorance of money, my expectation that I would rise in the corporate ranks, or any of those things, anything that impacted my money, my mission, my aspirations. I didn't realize that all of those things were just really deep down inside of me, coded to really just to sabotage me, right?
yep.
And
And
but
and and
come on,
that's what we do. We deal with all that.
all of that. But,
That's our lane right there.
come on, that's the
That's
lane.
what we address.
But what I love is the fact that you are addressing all of that. You're not just coming in and saying, this is how you start a business. You check these boxes off and then you go off and you're supposed to go do it. But you're saying, this is how you do it. And we're going to walk with you to help you get through it. And that you got to understand that there's some issues that you're dealing with that have some roots that you can't control. And so to be aware of that to start is phenomenal. And so the one thing I want you to add to that is that you need to be thinking about not just starting a company, but how do you build a brand? And the brand, brand is going to last beyond you. And so that's why your personal brand then becomes your legacy. And then
And that's why I call you manna from heaven.
I love it.
You got what we need.
Come on. Listen, you got what I
You
need.
got
Right?
what we need.
Oh, it's beautiful. That's the thing that you got to understand, that you don't want to just build a company. And so it's in some ways like it's easy to do a transaction, right? It's easier. You think about if you go on a date, it's easier to go on a date and do all the date things, but it's harder to make a connection and really develop a relationship. So that's what you try to do with your customers. And
Mhm.
I think I love that you have this finance background, and so I'm the exact opposite. I have zero finance background.
We've always been a good team. Always.
Right,
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
always. And my family my parents sent me away from home, and when I went to Drake, sent me away with $300, and my instructions were to open a checking account when I got there, and that $300 was gone by the weekend. And by
Oh my
Monday,
goodness.
it was terrible. It was terrible. And by Monday, my books, I didn't have a dime. And so that kind of sums up my financial education there.
But that that's a lot more normal than what most people think. But
Yeah.
anyway, let's circle back a little bit because we really started just kind of firing right away because
Yeah.
we bring so much. I just want you guys to get a little bit of her flavor right away. But Gwen and I, we actually have a history.
Yes.
We went to college together at Drake
Yeah.
University
Yeah.
back in the early 80s. I
Early.
don't want to give away your age because I know you look so young.
I don't mind. I'm grateful to be alive. So age is good.
But and Gwen back then, think it was graphic arts, or was it just straight up arts? Your major?
That was graphic design.
Just
It was
okay, graphic design. She's a graphic design major.
yeah.
I was president of our local chapter, Alpha Phi Alpha.
Yes.
We have various events, things like that. One of the ones that took a lot of effort. We used to have these Miss Black and Gold pageants, and we do the books and all that type of stuff. Really, I shouldn't feel uncomfortable just learning things because back then, all of that I had to just figure it out and
Yeah.
learn it.
Come on. Yes.
But I had a secret weapon.
Yep.
And that secret weapon was Gwen. And what most people don't know, and that some of those templates of that book, they're still in circulation now. I've seen some of them on current alpha chapters of the original cover that you wrote. We got to figure out a way to get you some residuals or something.
Right. Come on.
But I know. And we'll talk about it later off the camera. But Gwen really was the driving force behind the majority of those designs, and we worked for hours and hours and hours on that. And that's kind of how we got our start working together.
Yeah.
And I saw that immense talent early. I didn't need to be convinced. I saw it early. And so the fact that you are successfully running several businesses and you have others in the pipeline,
yeah.
I'm the last one to be surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Not at all.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Will I add to that at all?
No, well, it's just when you called me and reminded me that we had worked together on that, because it's been so long ago, I was blown away. And so then for you now to say that artwork is still circulating, that's amazing. Just phenomenal. But yeah, I just love I just love what I do. Like I wanted to be an artist when I was a little girl. Didn't even know what that was. Didn't even know. I didn't have anybody around me, no mentors, no examples. I just wanted to be an artist. So it was just God given. And somebody came along one day and said, "You don't want to just be an artist. You want to be a commercial artist because they make money." And I went, "Okay, commercial artist." And so by the time I went to college, it was called graphic design, and that was it. I became a graphic design major and did it in the Midwest at Drake University. And so when you guys needed help, I'm like I couldn't help but do it. So it was great.
Mm, wonderful, wonderful. Tell us about your companies right now and some that you have in the pipeline, because I know we classify you as a serial entrepreneur. And that's not just the companies you have now, but I know you have some cool stuff in the works also.
Yeah. Well, I told you I started out with direct sales. And so there were 14 years where I probably worked with about 8 different direct sales companies. So in those companies I learned how to sell. And that was the best education I could ever have. And then I always had the aspiration to have my own agency because my first job was at an advertising agency. And um, and so over the years, I had a company called Glass. Well, it started out it was Myriad Communications, and Myriad Communications had like all these different divisions. It was going to be this $720 million company by the year 2020. Grand vision, right? And then I changed it in 2010. It became Glassworks Dream Boutique because I was really interested in helping entrepreneurs really interpret their dream and figure out, what it was they were really trying to accomplish, and then provide them with the services they needed to make their dream work. And then in 2016, I felt like I needed to just kind of refresh the logo. And literally, that was a night that kind of changed my life because I ended up not just changing the logo. Oh, but let me back up. So I started an advertising agency, and then one day I was doing a Google search, and I saw that there was this thing called a branding agency. Had never heard of it before, and when I heard it, I was like, "Oh, this is it. This is me." And so I decided my Glassworks Dream Boutique company was no longer going to be. It was like marketing and business consulting, or coaching and business marketing is what I offered. And I said, okay, it's not going to be that anymore. Now it's going to be a branding agency. So when I went to refresh the logo, because I had changed the focus of the agency, everything, my mission, vision, values, all of it just fell apart. So I ended up, long story short, ended up renaming the entire company. It took me over a week to rename it. That's the longest it's ever taken me to do anything like that. But it was the most important. So it turned out I changed the name to Adam Red. And Adam Red was my branding agency. And ever since then, I basically used that to provide services for clients and also to develop my own brands. And I was, so I have a number of projects and brands that I run under Adam Red because they're like children. You know, children
I
children grow up. You got all your children in the same family, right?
understand.
Right? And they
I
grow up.
understand.
They grow up at different. They kind of have their own trajectory. Like you can't. Each child is so unique. You can't expect each child to develop exactly the same way. And so I've got all these child brands underneath Adam Red that are developing, and some I've been working on for a decade, some a few years, just depends. And so I'm developing those for myself. And while I'm doing that, I'm also providing services to clients and really help fine tuning how I build brands, how we start from one project to another. And let me tell you how I got to that though. I mean, I talk a lot, but I'm going to warn you. I should have warned you.
Me too.
But the one thing I think is important to say is the reason I got to a point where I had these multiple brands was I'm a person, I believe like when you look at the parable of talents, it says that, some God gave 5 to one, 3 to another, 1 to another. We all have different capacities. And so I'm one of those people. My capacity is broad. Like I can do a whole bunch of stuff. I'm an artist. I'm a graphic designer. I can sing. I can do. I mean, I just do a lot.
Amen.
But so I'm one of those people who other folks would always say to me, "You got to focus. You got to pick one. You got to you can't do so many things all at one time. And what I realize is people only say that to broke people, right? They only say that if you don't have any money.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't
Oh
that true though? Isn't it true?
boy.
So they
That's
don't.
profound. That's
It's true.
profound.
They don't tell Diddy that he can't have a vodka. They don't tell J Lo she can't have a fragrance. Like they don't tell they don't tell Queen Latifah she can't have a TV show. Like nobody does that. So so what I realized was though you cannot do 1,000 things at once, like multitasking is really not true. But what you can do, I believe, is you can figure out what's important to you, and you can build all kinds of companies based on what's important to you, right? And but each of those companies needs to have
No, I know.
right, but each of those companies needs to have its own lane, right? And so I have
Absolutely.
of those things that have their own lane, and then but I want to teach other people how to do that. I want to be the champion for helping people to define who they are. I mean, like no matter where you're starting from, and no matter what stage of business. I think you also can be further along. You could have a company making millions of dollars and still not have a defined brand. So no matter what stage of business, Adam Red is there to help develop that brand. And so because I'm so interested, and I've always at every stage of my own development, I've always been interested in helping other people. I had launched during the pandemic my own 501c3 nonprofit called Vivid Academy, and that is completely dedicated to entrepreneurial growth and development and training. And so that's why I reached out to you and said, "Hey, we need to partner to do something because we're going in the same direction, and I really want to help our community." I can work with anybody, and I have
And our community wants you to help.
yeah, I want to help our community because I realize we're so far behind in the wealth gap that we really don't need $720 million companies. If we could just turn each company into $1 million, we are
Hmm.
will be
Hmm.
light years ahead.
Absolutely.
So that's
Absolutely.
that's my new goal.
I was,
Instead of me getting $720 million, I want to help 720 entrepreneurs develop $1 million companies.
hmm
Yeah.
I think I was talking to one of the local pastors here yesterday. We were just talking. And one of the things that I mentioned to him is that my skill set, for example, in finance and so forth, without really giving it much thought, almost just kind of assumed that
Yeah.
everybody had that same skill set, which I know makes no sense. And
No.
the light bulb came on one day, and I'm like, well, no, they don't. And it's needed. So you got to share it. So that's a lot of what I do. And the same for you, because you have such a wonderful and amazing skill set. The fact that you're willing to share that, it says a whole lot about you.
Look, I get more excited about helping other people develop their stuff than I do about my own, which has become a problem. Most of us, your gift is for you. I mean, your gift is for other people. So when it's time for you to use the gift on yourself, it's very hard to do. That's why we need each other, because it doesn't matter how great you are and how much you know about anything, any particular subject. You need somebody else's mentoring, their advice, their counsel, their direction to help you get and stay on track and really reach your full potential, even surpass it. And so that's what excited me too when I started looking through the videos on YouTube. I was like, come on, James, yes.
You're too nice. You're too nice. And something that I say to our young people on a regular basis is we all can eat.
We can
We
all
all can eat.
there is plenty. There's plenty. Yeah. No, I believe that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gwen, you know that I've been like, at the top of the list of your fan club for a long time. I'm glad that our audience has been introduced to you. Um, if someone wants to contact you, do you have like contact information?
Well, you know what? The best thing they can do. So I want to invite everybody to join the Vivid Academy Learning Portal. It's an online community that I'm putting together really so that we can learn from each other, we can encourage each other. I have some kind of proprietary methodologies, even I'm listening to you and discovering that you do too. But I have a kind of I have kind of my own ways. I call them brain hacks.
Yeah, you're like way in my head.
Right. No, no, no. But I'm like, I have these kind of different ways that I've been developing over the years. All really biblically based. Like everything I do has a biblical foundation, a scriptural foundation. Even if I don't say it, and I have some ways I believe God has given me to teach some business concepts that'll help make it less intimidating and easier to understand. And so I'll be sharing those inside of that portal. We'll be getting to know each other. There are other opportunities. There are going to be some free courses. There's some paid courses. There's just opportunities to connect and grow. But the basic membership is free. You can just go and join. So you would visit portal, PORTAL vivid academy. And that's it. You're in.
Photo.vivid.academy.
That's it.
Once again, Gwen Witherspoon, thank you so very much.
Thank you for
We're humbled that you guys that you shared your presence with us and part of your expertise. And we wish nothing but just great blessings for you.
thank
And so so in closing, as normal, for all the little lines out there, it's pray for me. And as always, I'll pray for you. And everybody be blessed and stay blessed. We love all you guys. And thank you so much, Gwen. You are just amazing.
Thank you, dear. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye bye.